I have gotten so much done today. A ton of things that are on my list to do, but none of them were at the top of my list to get done. And though I'm happy about it, I'm still like, there's this one thing that I have to do that I've been avoiding. And it's my mentor gave me some things to journal about, to paragraph about, and it's not like I don't paragraph. I mean, my journal's filled with stuff, so it's not like this is like a new thing for me to do. But I'm so much somebody who I can put things in my mind and I can make lists in my mind and vision in my mind and keep them there, that sometimes I'm like, dude, I already got them. I already know what I want there. But that wasn't the task. The task was to sit down, write them out, journal about them, paragraph about them, get a deeper understanding of these questions that he gave me. And for some reason, I'm avoiding it. And I was sitting here thinking, I was sitting out in the sun for a few minutes. It was funny because I actually came out again this morning right here in this very spot. And I was gonna get this done. And I look out to my yard, and I have these weeds growing out here, and it was a perfectly calm day, no wind. And I'm like, I need to get Roundup on these weeds and spray these out while there's no wind. So I went to bed. That took a couple hours, and I went inside and showered. I sat in my spot that I usually journal in to get this done, and then I started messaging clients and took a couple hours doing that. And here I am in the afternoon now, still not with what I need to get done. And, it's just another day that's gone by. So it's like, I'm sitting out here thinking about this, and there's these areas in my life that it's like a game of avoidance, because I can trick myself in my mind that says I've already got this done, because when I listened to him and he went through these things, I already answered them in my head. They're already here. And so I can say it's done. But that wasn't the task. The task was to put them here, to move them from here and here, my heart, my mind, to paper. And so even though it's done, it's not finished. And I think in life, we can play this game of avoidance. And especially as I always say to you guys, like, how are we living beyond average? What are we doing in our life, especially as men, the men that are listening right now? A lot of you are dads, and a lot of you are husbands, and you have these pieces because you're like me. That's why you're listening. I want to be my best self so I can provide the best for my kids, so I can provide the best for my wife, for my family. And unfortunately, sometimes there can be fear attached to that, right? Of working through those things where, what if I don't? Or what if it doesn't work out? And that is also the driving factor. Well, I do what I do in order to give my kids the best. I do what I do in order to give my family the best. And we're willing to do all of this shit and work and grind, but avoid ourselves. And all of the work and all of the grind, even though it is done for the right reasons, at a certain level can still be a game of avoidance of ourself, where we would actually take our life much further when it comes to living beyond average for ourselves, for our family, for our kids, if we would quit avoiding things that actually need to be addressed in our life. And those can look like a million different things. For me in this moment, it's avoiding some simple tasks that need to be done. Oftentimes we'll avoid conversations that need to be had. We'll avoid old hurts and pains and traumas and wrongdoings that have happened to us in order to not have to reface them or go back through those things. A lot of times we'll avoid meeting up with somebody that we need to have a conversation with. We avoid these things because we're falling under the line. We want to protect ourselves, which is rightfully so. But there comes a point where you are strong enough and you are mature enough that you have to face the emotion, because the emotion does not control you. You get to control that. You get to decide how you feel. You get to decide what to do with it. And so we have to not avoid the work that needs to be done. That work is the inner work. It's outer work, but it's also inner work. I'm moving an inner work into an outer work. As above, so below. It's all back and forth. And so that's where it's like the world outside of us, you guys, is real. But the kingdom of heaven is also inside of us. And so we can flip a coin and we can do these things and convince ourselves one way or the other. I can convince myself it's already done because I've already answered the questions in my mind. But I haven't gone to the other place, the other realm, the physical, in this case, into my journal and placed it there. We have to face things in all aspects, if you're hearing me on this. We have to face and not avoid. That's a huge piece of the living beyond average, because I was watching this video the other day. Is in our brains, the way our brains, are constructed is, we have our frontal brain and our cortex there, and that's where most of our consciousness lies. Like 10% of that frontal cortex, if I'm calling that right, is responsible for our thinking, and we use 10% of our brain right there, and it's consciousness, and then 90% is like our subconscious. I'm definitely quoting this wrong because I watched this video really fast the other night, and but it's something like that. And the point that I'm making is, there's what the guy was saying was that we'll use 10% of our mind, and it'll take up all of our time in our day and our thinking. And because we're constantly thinking in that sense, not necessarily productive thinking, there's a difference between us being productive thinking and being distracted thinking. But because we're so distracted in that style of thinking, the subconscious never becomes conscious. The 90% of our life never gets brought forth because we don't pay attention to it, because we aren't present in our moment, and we're avoiding the subconscious. We're avoiding what actually needs to be sat down and truly thought about, truly brought to light. I said months ago that bringing our subconscious to the conscious is bringing light into the darkness. Pretty amazing. And so that's where I'm placing this. Is we can't continue to avoid in that sense. We have to bring the subconscious into the conscious. We have to bring light into the darkness and give it proper focus, proper attention, proper intentionality. That is being a man. That is being a woman. That is living beyond average. Someone who's living beyond average is not avoiding. Someone who is living beyond average is facing, creating, being exactly who they are. You guys have an amazing rest of your day and live beyond average.